Hi and welcome to today's session. I'm Asmita, your IELTS mentor here at Vedantu, and today we are live solving a listening test. You know the drill, you know what to do. Get a pen and paper ready and then we will get started. Let me know if I'm audible and visible to you. Make sure you are in a distraction-free zone so that no one comes and pesters you, asks you for anything. You need to treat this like an actual test. You need to be completely 100% focused. After we are done solving the entire test, I will give you the correct answers, and if there were any questions that you struggled with, you can ask me and I will explain to you why the right answer was the right answer. Apart from this, you will also be able to tell which band you got for the reading section of the test. Alright, so this is a very common drill. We've done it quite a few times. Those of you who just joined us, who haven't attended a session like this before, you attend one of these and you'll get to know how it works. So quickly, everybody, get your gear together. While you're accumulating your stuff, those of you who haven't, make sure you fill out this form with your parents. If you are serious about wanting to study abroad, you are getting top tier student admissions counseling for free, so make use of it. All right, now let's get started. I am going to play the recording. I will be solving the test with you, as you can see. I don't know if you can see. I've written down my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all empty. I will also be scoring myself, figuring out what band I have gotten. So far, I have always scored a band 9. That doesn't mean I've gotten 40 out of 40. There have been instances where I've gotten 39 out of 40. But remember, even if you get 39 out of 40, you can still get a band 9. One mistake is allowed. Okay, if we are good to get started, I need to see thumbs ups from you guys. Being silent is not going to help me. I'm not telepathic. I cannot read your minds. Okay? Quickly give me a thumbs up. So the reading section is usually listening section is usually 30 minutes long, but the recording can range from somewhere between 23, 24 to 27 minutes. All right? Okay. So you are going to get time in the recording itself to go through the questions. I cannot emphasize this enough. As always, make sure you are going through the question when you are given time to do so. It is of great help. Okay, I am going to now play the recording, which means I will be taking my mic off. Sorry for any disturbance, and place it next to the recording.
Test 4. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Section 1. You will hear a man telephoning to ask about a job in a hotel. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4. Hello, West Bay Hotel. Can I help you?
Oh, good morning. I'm ringing about your advertisement in the Evening Gazette.
Is that the one for temporary staff?
That's right.
Yes, I'm afraid the person who's dealing with that isn't in today, but I can give you the main details if you like.
Yes, please. Could you tell me what kind of staff you're looking for?
We're looking for waiters at the moment. There was one post for a cook, but that's already been taken.
Oh, right. What are the hours of work?
There are 2 different shifts. There is a day shift from 7 to 2 and a late shift from 4 till 11.
And can people choose which one they want to do?
Not normally, because everyone would choose the day shift, I suppose. You alternate from one week to another.
Okay, I'm just writing all this down. What about time off?
You get 1 day off, and I think you can negotiate which one you want. It's more or less up to you, but it has to be the same one every week.
Do you know what the rates of pay are?
Yes, I've got them here. You get £5.50 an hour, and that includes a break.
Do I have to go home to eat, or...?
You don't have to. You can get a meal in the hotel if you want to, and there's no charge for it, so you might as well.
Oh, good. Yes, so let's see. I get £231 a week.
You'd also get tips. Our guests tend to be quite generous.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Is there a uniform? What about clothes?
Yes, I forgot to mention that. You need to wear a white shirt, just a plain one, and dark trousers. You know, not green or anything like that. And we don't supply those.
That's okay, I've got trousers. I just have to buy a couple of shirts. What about anything else? Do I need a waistcoat or anything?
You have to wear a jacket, but the hotel lends you that.
I see. One last thing. I don't know what the starting date is.
Just a minute. I think it's sometime around the end of June. Yes, the 28th, in time for the summer.
That's great. I'm available from the 10th.
Oh, good. Well, if you can call again, you need to speak to the service manager. Her name's Jane Irwin. That's Urwin. And she'll probably arrange to meet you.
Okay. And when's the best time to ring?
Could you call tomorrow? She usually starts checking the rooms at midday, so before then if you can, so she'll have more time to chat. I'll just give you her number because she's got a direct line.
Thanks.
It's 832 009.
823 009.
No, 832.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'll do that.
And by the way, she will ask you for a reference, so you might like to be thinking about that. You know, just someone who knows you and can vouch for you.
Yes, no problem. Well, thanks very much for your help.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Hi, hello everyone, just joining in. If you missed the first 10 questions, that's fine. You can start doing it from question 11 onwards. So start paying attention now, okay? Part 2 onwards. All right? I gave you sneak peek.
To section 2. Section 2. You will hear a man being interviewed on local radio about a plan to improve a suburb called Red Hill. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 13. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 13.
Good morning, and welcome again to your city today. With me today is Graham Campbell,
a counsellor from the City Council. He'll be telling us about the plan to improve the fast-growing suburb of Red Hill. Good morning, Graham, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Carol.
Now, Graham, I understand that there has been a lot of community consultation for the new plan.
Yes, we've tried to address some of the concerns that local groups told us about. People we've heard from are mainly worried about traffic in the area, and in particular the increasing speed of cars near schools. They feel that it's only a matter of time before there's an accident, as a lot of children walk to the school. So we're trying to do something about that. Another area of concern is the overhead power lines. These are very old, and a lot of people we spoke to asked if something could be done about them. Well, I'm happy to report that the power company have agreed to move the power lines underground at a cost of $800,000. I think that will really improve the look of the area, as well as being safer.
That's good to know. But will that mean an increase in rates for the local businesses in that area?
Well, the power company have agreed to bear the cost of this themselves after a lot of discussion with the council. This is wonderful news, as the council now has some extra funds for us to put into other things like tree planting and artwork.
Before you hear the rest of the interview, you have some time to look at questions 14 to 20.
It's a label the map question, okay? I hope you can see trees, wider footpaths, colored road surface, new sign, traffic lights, artwork, children's playground. Those are the options, the questions, and you have to match the correct letter with them. Hill Street, Evelyn Street, Carberry Street, Thomas Street, Days Road.
And answer questions 14 to 20.
Now, we've also put together a map which we sent out to all the residents in the area. And on the map, we've marked the proposed changes. Firstly, we'll plant mature pine trees to provide shelter and shade just to the right of the supermarket in Days Road. In order to address the traffic problems, the pavements on the corner of Carberry and Thomas Street will be widened. This will help to reduce the speed of vehicles entering Thomas Street. We think it's very important to separate the local residential streets from the main road, so the roadway at the entrance to Thomas Street from Days Road will be painted red. This should mark it more clearly and act as a signal for traffic to slow down. One way of making sure that the pedestrians are safe is to increase signage at the intersections. A Keep Clear sign will be erected at the junction of Evelyn Street and Hill Street to enable traffic to exit at all times. Something we're planning to do to help control the flow of traffic in the area is to install traffic lights halfway down Hill Street where it crosses Days Road. Now, we haven't only thought about the cars and traffic, of course. There's also something for the children. We're going to get school children in the area to research a local story, the life of a local sports hero, perhaps. And an artist will incorporate that story into paintings on the wall of a building on the other side of Hill Street from the supermarket. And finally, we've agreed to build a new children's playground, which will be at the other end of Hill Street, close to the intersection with Carberry Street.
Wonderful. Now, what's the next stage?
Well, the final plan...
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So I know label the map questions get a little bit confusing. You need to know words like intersection, junction, this side of that side of that. So you need to know all of this vocabulary to be able to do this properly. So if you don't know and you struggled with this part, that means you have to learn these words, okay? And we can discuss them towards the end. Gaurav Gupta, I cannot take time away from the listening test to give you advice right now. Sorry about that.
Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear two students called Dan and Jeannie discussing their studies at university. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hi, Jeannie. How's it going?
Oh, hello, Dan. Pretty well, thanks. Have you managed to get the money for the course yet?
Yes, that's all sorted out now, thanks. It took long enough, though. It was practically a year ago that I applied to my local council for a grant, and it took them 6 months to turn me down.
That's really slow.
And I thought I was eligible for government funding, but it seems I was mistaken. So then I asked the boss of the company I used to work for if they would sponsor me, and much to my surprise, he said they'd make a contribution.
But what about college grants and scholarships? There must be some you could apply for.
Yes, there are, but they're all so small that I decided to leave them until I was desperate. And in fact, I didn't need to apply. My parents had been saying that as I already had a job, I ought to support myself through college. But in the end, they took pity on me, so now I've just about got enough.
That's good.
So now I can put a bit of effort into meeting people. Haven't had time so far. Any suggestions?
What about joining some college clubs?
Oh, right. You joined several, didn't you?
Yes, I'm in the drama club. It's our first performance next week, so we're rehearsing frantically. And I've got behind with my work, but it's worth it. I'm hoping to be in the spring production too.
I've never liked acting. Are you doing anything else?
I enjoyed singing when I was at school, so I joined a group when I came to college. I don't think the conductor stretches us enough, though, so I'll give up after the next concert. And I also joined the debating society. It's fun, but with all the rehearsing I'm doing, something has to go, and I'm afraid that's the one.
Do you do any sports?
Yes, I'm in one of the hockey teams. I'm not very good, but I'd really miss it if I stopped. I decided to try tennis when I came to college, and I'm finding it pretty tough going. I'm simply not fit enough.
Nor me. I think I'll give that a miss.
I'm hoping it'll help me to build up my stamina, but it'll probably be a long haul.
Good luck.
Thanks.
How are you finding the course?
I wish we had more seminars.
What? I'd have thought we had more than enough already. All those people saying clever things that I could never think of. It's quite interesting, but I wonder if I'm clever enough to be doing this course.
I find it helpful to listen to the other people. I like the way we're exploring the subject and working towards getting insight into it.
How do you get on with your tutor? I don't think I'm on the same wavelength as mine, so I feel I'm not getting anything out of the tutorials. It would be more productive to read a book instead.
Oh, mine's very demanding. She gives me lots of feedback and advice, so I've got much better at writing essays. And she's helping me plan my revision for the end-of-year exams.
Do tell me, I always struggle with revision.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Well, the first thing is to find out exactly what's required in the exams.
Would it help to get hold of some past papers?
Yes, they'll help to make it clear.
Right, I'll do that. Then what?
Then you can sort out your revision priorities based on what's most likely to come up. I put these on a card and read them through regularly. But that isn't enough in itself. You also need a timetable to see how you can fit everything in the time available. Then keep it in front of you while you're studying.
I've done that before, but it hasn't helped me.
Maybe you need to do something different every day. So if you break down your revision into small tasks and allocate them to specific days, there's more incentive to tackle them. With big topics, you're more likely to put off starting.
Good idea.
And as I revise each topic, I write a single paragraph about it. Then later I can read it through quickly, and it helps fix things in my mind.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I also write answers to questions for the exam practice. It's hard to make myself do it, though.
Well, I'll try. Thanks a lot, Jeannie. That's a great help.
No problem.
See you around.
Bye.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Alright, quite easy, quite straightforward this one. If you didn't get distracted, then I'm sure you were able to get all the answers right. If you did get distracted, then you probably would have struggled with 21 to 24. Last section, guys, now. Come on, buckle up.
Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecturer giving a talk about Australian rock art to a group of archaeology students. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. I've been invited to talk about my research project into Australian Aboriginal rock paintings. The Australian Aborigines have recorded both real and symbolic images of their time on rock walls for many thousands of years. Throughout the long history of this tradition, new images have appeared and new painting styles have developed. And these characteristics can be used to categorize the different artistic styles. Among these are what we call the dynamic, yam, and modern styles of painting. One of the most significant characteristics of the different styles is the way that humans are depicted in the paintings. The more recent paintings show people in static poses, but the first human images to dominate rock art paintings over 8,000 years ago were full of movement. These paintings showed people hunting and cooking food, and so they were given the name dynamic to reflect this energy. It's quite amazing considering they were painted in such a simple stick-like form. In the Yam period, there was a movement away from stick figures to a more naturalistic shape. However, they didn't go as far as the modern style, which is known as X-ray because it actually makes a feature of the internal skeleton as well as the organs of animals and humans. The Yam style of painting got its name from the fact that it featured much curvier figures that actually resemble the vegetable called the yam, which is similar to a sweet potato. The modern paintings are interesting because they include paintings at the time of the first contact with European settlers. Aborigines managed to convey the idea of the settlers' clothing by simply painting the Europeans without any hands, indicating the habit of standing with their hands in their pockets. Size is another characteristic. The more recent images tend to be life-size or even larger, but the dynamic figures are painted in miniature. Aboriginal rock art also records the environmental changes that occurred over thousands of years. For example, we know from the dynamic paintings that over 8,000 years ago, Aborigines would have rarely eaten fish, and sea levels were much lower at this time. In fact, fish didn't start to appear in paintings until the Yam period, along with shells and other marine images. The paintings of the Yam tradition also suggest that during this time, the Aborigines moved away from animals as their main food source and began including vegetables in their diet, as these feature prominently. Freshwater creatures didn't appear in the paintings until the modern period from 4,000 years ago. So these paintings have already taught us a lot. But one image that has always intrigued us is known as the rainbow serpent. The rainbow serpent, which is the focus of my most recent project,
gets its name from its snake or serpent-like body, and it first appeared in the Yam period 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. Many believe it is a curious mixture of kangaroo, snake, and crocodile. But we decided to study the rainbow serpent paintings to see if we could locate the animal that the very first painters based their image on. The Yam period coincided with the end of the last ice age. This brought about tremendous change in the environment, with the sea levels rising and creeping steadily inland. This flooded many familiar land features and also caused a great deal of disruption to traditional patterns of life, hunting in particular. New shores were formed and totally different creatures would have washed up onto the shores. We studied 107 paintings of the rainbow serpent and found that the one creature that matches it most closely was the ribboned pipefish, which is a type of seahorse. This sea creature would have been a totally unfamiliar sight in the inland regions where the image is found, and it may have been the inspiration behind the early paintings. So, at the end of the Ice Age, there would have been enormous changes in animal and plant life. It's not surprising, then, that the Aborigines linked this abundance to the new creatures they witnessed. Even today, Aborigines see the rainbow serpent as a symbol of creation, which is understandable given the increase in vegetation and the new life forms that featured when the image first appeared.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, I have checked my answers and seems like I am. Actually, I'll tell you later. Okay, so are we ready to discuss the answers? Do you want to post your answers very quickly over here so that we can make sure you're not cheating before I give you the right answers? Do you want to post the answers quickly? So we're going to do part 1 first. Alright, or you can be honest. I trust you. I think you will be honest. Alright, so no more than 2 words or number here. What were the vacancies for? Waiters. You could choose your what? Time or day off, right? Including a break. And what is provided? A meal is provided by the hotel. Here, dress a white shirt and dark trousers. Jacket is supplied. Starting date was 28 June. And how was this answer provided? First, she said it's towards the end of June. And then she's like, oh, let me take a look, la 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 la. It's on the 28th. So June was said separately and the date 28 was said separately. So you have had to have been paying attention to understand that it's 28th June. Otherwise, you would have just heard June or 28th. Now you have to call Jane when? Either at noon, that is before 12, or you can say midday, and she will require a reference. All right? Tips. No. A meal will be provided by the hotel. Hotel does not provide tips. Customers provide tips. Oh yeah, sorry. Jane Irwin. And this is noon or midday. So how did we do in part 1? How did we all do? Mohammed Umar, seems that you got 1 or 2 wrong. It's not day shift that you can choose. You cannot choose your shift. She specifically said in the audio that you cannot choose your shift. What can you choose? You can choose your time off or your day off. That means you can choose which day is your holiday. So I was able to get a 10 on 10 in this part of the IELTS. If you have any doubts regarding any questions, you can ask me. Next, here we had what were they concerned about? The reason, but there were speeding cars and children usually were crossing at that time, and so they were concerned about their safety, right? Next, what did they decide? Power lines will be, the word they used was underground, right? The word that was used was that the power lines will be underground, which means buried, right? So you had to have understood the meaning over here actually. Same meaning. And the expenses related to the power lines will be paid entirely by the power company, right? Good job. Next. So first, 14, right? Yeah, so first the trees were to be planted, they said, on the open side of Days Road, right? So Days Road, here there are houses, intersection with Thomas Street. So the open side is this, C. They are adding wider footpaths where? At the intersection of Canberry and Thomas Street. Coloured road surface where? At the intersection of Thomas and Days Street. New sign is going to be added where? At the intersection of Hill and Evelyn Street, that is B. What is an intersection? Evelyn Street is going like this, Hill Street is going like this. Evelyn Street is running in this direction, Hill Street is running in this direction. At one point they are going to meet each other. That is called an intersection or a junction, okay? Traffic lights are going to be added where? Over here. Artwork by students on the surface of the building at Hill Street. This is the only surface that is provided, right? So that should give away the answer. And children's playground is being made on the other end of Hill Street. What is the other end of Hill Street? This is the other end of Hill Street. So E. Okay? The answers were C, D, G, B, F, A, E. Okay? Very good, Tejas. Very good, Umar. All right. Now, so for me, part 2 was also a 10 on 10. Now, let's see part 3. Here you had to choose 2. What were the 2 reasons he gave? What were the 2 things he said were helping him finance his college education? Now, here, always look out for things that are stated but then they are backtracked. So at a lot of times he said, I thought that I would get a grant from the local council, but it took 1 year for them to reject my grant. Then he said, I thought I was eligible for government sponsorship, but turns out I am not eligible. So there's a lot of negation. You have to look out for this negation and you can keep eliminating. So as soon as he said this, you can eliminate this. As soon as he said that, you can eliminate this. College is not giving him a grant. What are the 2 things? His older boss, the employer, offered to help him, and his family at first they refused to help him. Then they said, no, it's okay, we'll give you some money. Okay, so B and E were our correct answers. And over here we had, she did not feel sufficiently challenged she used the word stretch. The singing classes did not stretch us enough, right? So she did not feel challenged. And the other one was she had to drop something. One thing she had to drop, so she chose to drop debate because she did not have enough time. A and C were your answers. Moving on, what does Dan say about seminars on the course? He said that he feels like everybody has such good points to make and he cannot even think of these points. So that makes him feel a bit inferior to the other students, right? And then 26, what does Jeannie say about tutorials on the course? She said they are helping her figure out how to go about her studies. So B and C were the correct answers. Finally, no more than 2 words or a number. What suggestions did she give Dan? Work out your priorities for revision. Make a timetable and keep it in view. Divide revision into small tasks. Write 1 paragraph. And if you wrote small here, that's also fine, small paragraph. And here also, if you didn't write small, that's okay. And those are your answers, okay? But whenever you have the word limit, then you can add the adjective. See, if the word limit does not allow it, if you can only write one word, skip the adjective, write the noun. But if the word limit allows it, then write the adjective also. Remember this, okay? Remember this. All right. And then that makes me 10 on 10 here, part 3 as well. Moving on to part 4, it was about the rock paintings. Okay, here we have, that's okay Tanmay, you can take the test again later, alright. So here, which were the ones? Revealing bones. This was not said. What word was used? X-ray word was used. Which era of paintings did that? The modern, right? Which style? Modern style. Rounded figures were yam because the figures look like yam. Okay, then figures with parts missing was again modern. For example, Europeans had a habit of putting their hands in their pockets, so they were drawn without hands. Figures smaller than life size was A. What was written? Dynamic had miniature paintings. Sea creatures came about in the Yam period. Before that, there was no mention of sea creatures. And finally, plants also showed up first in the Yam period. CBC, ABB. Okay? And finally, no more than 2 words. It's about the rainbow serpent. What is the point? Aim is to identify the animal. They are not sure which animal the rainbow serpent is based off of. So the aim is to find out the animal that is the basis for the painting. It was in the Yam period. What did environmental changes lead to? Higher sea levels. Because of that, traditional activities, specifically hunting, was affected. Right now, the rainbow serpent is similar to a seahorse, unusual because it appeared in inland areas, probably because the water came, because of the rise in sea level, the water sort of came to the inland area, all right? And then this symbolizes creation. This was said very clearly at the end, right? In Aboriginal cultures, and so Aboriginals were the actual inhabitants of Australia, okay, before white people took over the entire world. So here we have the answers. I hope you were able to score well. Quickly tell me your band score. Mine was a 9. He 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 he. Tell me, or what you can do is leave your band, leave it in the comments, alright? Cool, that brings us to the end of today's class. Very clear, very purposeful. We did what we had to, discuss the answers, if you have any doubts related to any questions that you were unable to ask me right now, make sure you leave those doubts in the comments, and we can always pick them up and address them in tomorrow's class. Okay, tomorrow the class will be at normal time, which is 2 p.m. Sorry about the delay today. Tuesdays might be a little delayed due to my schedule. So now I hope, okay, Tejas, your band was 8. Very good. Mohammed, you missed some parts. You can retake those, but now you know the answers. So you can't retake. It's fine. You can figure out your band based on how many parts you actually attempted. Okay, if you have some questions, yes, you can ask me now also, Mohammed. What questions do you have? What doubts do you have? Give me your doubts in the chat box. I have a questions. Okay, since you have now thus disappeared, you can leave your questions in the comments and we will pick them up tomorrow, okay? Oh, this is your... See, I would personally say go for whichever is closer in date for you. It all depends on availability, right? So I think for a computer-based IELTS, what you can do is you can practice the computer-based interface on the official website. So you can get this in the British Council website or the IDP website. Practice the computer-based where you have to drag and drop answers for reading tests. Personally, I find the computer based easier because I'm not used to writing. Most of my work happens on the computer, so I'm just typing all the time. So my hand hurts when I write. So for me personally, I recommend the computer IELTS because I have that bias where I don't want to write long answers. But you guys are used to writing. In school you have been writing so far, right? So it really doesn't make a difference. Tejas, you will get time to go through the question. It will be exactly like you heard today, right? So you will have time in the audio. Maybe in the practice test, they expect you to simply pause, right? So maybe they don't give you that time, but you will get time to go through the questions. Okay? Pranjal, that's good. If you were able to get a band 6 without any preparation, then you don't have a long, hard journey ahead of you. With a little bit of practice, solve 15-20 papers and you will be fine. Okay? Cool? Game therapy, not only are you new, you are also late because we've reached the end of today's session. So you can watch the session, come again tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the next class. I will see you all tomorrow then. Take care, have a great evening ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Do it.